Let's take a look at the key to confidence. One of my friends once said, it's not having all the answers that matters, it's having the right questions. So let's take a look at that. A lot of times this time of year, we're thinking about New Year's resolutions, how we can make our life better. And I like new day resolutions. Every day is a new day for me. What are the questions that matter? Well, this is the list of 20, but I'm just going to pick a couple of them that I think are important. Number one, are you invested in the stock market? We invest in the stock market to protect us against inflation. Historically, it takes 8 to 10 years for money to double after inflation in stocks versus over 100 years for fixed income. So we invest in the stock market. But do you know how they work? Where do returns come from? How does the market deliver? What's the expected return on a portfolio based on where you're invested? Did you know that you can even know that? You can't plan for the future unless you know what your expected return is. It's very, very important. Then you got to figure out what your investment philosophy is. Most people don't even realize that there are different philosophies of investing. You ever heard investment advisors, they all seem to contradict each other. You ought to do this, you ought to do that. Well, typically what happens, they're on one side of the fence on investment philosophy where we're on the other side of the fence. If you don't know the difference, it's a really good thing to get your hands on and get a handle on. Do you know how to measure diversification in your portfolio? You can't control something you can't measure. How do you measure how things are likely to move with each other? This is something you can know as well. You know where you fall in the Markowitz efficient frontier? There's a guy that won the Nobel Prize for Economics in 1990. I almost never see his work actually implemented in the investing process. It's how do you maximize expected return for a given level of risk? You ought to know where you are on that. Do you have a customized lifelong game plan? I like to have my entire financial plan on a single sheet of paper so it all makes sense. So it's all in front of me and I know how things work together. That's something I just absolutely insist on when it comes to planning, getting it all on one sheet of paper. Do you have an investment policy statement? Pension plans, by law, must have an investment policy statement. It's like having a blueprint for your investments. You know what your investment, your expectations are. You know how the portfolio is put together, what asset categories, what you'll do, what you won't do, what the expected return is, what the investment philosophy is. It's all in there. Do you have a clear-cut method for measuring the success or failure of your portfolio? In 5 minutes a quarter, you ought to be able to look at your investments and tell whether each one of them did what they were supposed to do. Now, the investment industry doesn't typically teach this. The reason is if you knew how to really judge your portfolio, then you would probably fire them most of the time. Now, this isn't, let me give you a hint. It went up, good. It went down, bad. Because markets go up and go down. It's more precise than that. You're looking at how you did versus various areas of the market. There's a definite way to do it that's objective. And do you have a system for measuring portfolio volatility? You know, risk can be measured, and you need to be able to measure it to control it again. Now, with portfolio volatility, what happens, you have portfolio volatility, but you also have inflation risk in the investing process. You can't get rid of risk altogether. It is a myth that risk can be eliminated from the investing process. And do you know the warning signs that you're speculating and gambling with your money versus prudently investing it? There are warning signs, and most people are completely oblivious to that their investment advisor, their mutual fund company, or they are actually gambling and speculating versus investing. And this is the last one. I always tell people it's the only one you have to be able to answer yes to. You want to shift from just a scarcity mode to investing to an abundance mode. And that's really what it's all about, getting the answers to these questions, key to going from one to the other.